Hello, this is OTG, welcoming you back to Harmony Within, a series of off-the-grid conversations about spiritual wellness, recovery, and the deeper truths we don't hear said out loud. So today we're going to go over step 10, which is continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admit it. So last time in step 9, we talked about cleaning up the past, about making direct amends wherever possible, and setting right the wrongs we could reach. We walked through the fear of facing people we had harmed, and we talked about why integrity is worth that discomfort. So now, step 10 is where we keep that freedom alive. This is the maintenance step, the spiritual house cleaning we do every single day so we don't end up buried in wreckage again. It's how we keep our side of the street cleaner before resentments, guilt, and fear start to stack up. So step 10 says, continue to take personal inventory, and we were wrong, promptly admit it. So in other words, we don't wait until the end of the year to clean out the garage. We do it daily, And the spirit of step 10, if you think of it as preventative medicine, it's very much like that. So we've done the big surgery in step 4 through 9, digging deep, facing truths, making repairs. But without daily upkeep, the infection can come back. So spiritually, step 10 keeps me right size. It prevents my ego from quietly inflating and my old self from slipping back in unnoticed. Psychologically, it stops small mistakes from turning into big crises. Resentments, dishonesty, and selfishness don't usually explode all at once. They drip in over days and weeks, building until they overflow. Step 10 catches them while they're still manageable. So what inventory means in step 10 is a simple, honest look at what's going on inside yourself, inside of me, my actions, my motives, my fears, my resentments. In step 10, we don't just take an inventory once in a while. We do it live. We become the observer watching the animal our soul lives in. We become oriented in a fourth dimensional perspective. We are above our bodies. We are not rooted in it, where our emotions are our reality. We are now acknowledging that I have a body, it has a disease, it makes me feel things that I cannot trust. I have to be self-aware enough to transcend this body and look at it from an overview, like I'm the spiritual custodian of this diseased animal, which is essentially what we are. We're no different than animals biologically. We require food, we require water, we require sunlight, rest, and activity, social construct, and that is what gives us life. But what gives us joy, which is an emotional result of a psychological perspective, that's something higher. That's a higher power. We don't need physical things to make us feel good when you can take pride in the fact that you're a good person, that you made the right decision. So when someone comes along and bumps into you and curses you out and walks on by, you can give them an eye for an eye, or you can turn the other cheek. And I think that's kind of an interesting thing, is that in today's society, is it do unto others as they do unto you? Or is it do unto others as you would have them do unto you? And I think that your personality chooses those two. Do unto me as I do unto you, and I'll do unto you as you do unto me, sounds like instant karma. It sounds like you're doing God's job. So I am more of the do unto others as I would have you do unto me now, where before I was quite opposite. So with this inventory, we're looking into the future as well as the present. We don't need to look to the past unless we want to see patterns that we don't want to see happen in the future. But our street is clean. We want to keep it clean, so we want to take offensive moves, not to burden ourselves with more baggage. And that's what the take inventory is. It's being aware of our actions and how they affect others. It's keep taking it day after day for the rest of your life, because it is your medication. And it's not just looking at where, we fell short. It's also noticing where we did well. Inventory is about balance. It's not self-punishment. I'm looking for both the weeds and the flowers. Pat yourself on the back if you did something different than a typical pattern would have you do. If you stopped yourself and you said, you know what, I'm not going to go down that road, I know where it leads, I'm going to take a higher road and go this way. You had stimulus, you stopped the response, you thought about it, and changed the response. That's cognitive behavioral therapy. That's exactly what we do in that, you know? So when we're wrong, promptly admitting it is a heartbeat of step 10. Prompt admission. So when I'm wrong, I say so, quickly. Not after a week of pretending it didn't happen. Not after my pride built a wall. Promptly. Example would be I by accidentally broke one of my sister's cups because I was in a hurry and I didn't see it. And it was one of her favorite cups. I cleaned it up and I went and I sought her out. She was, in the backyard doing something with her dog. And I immediately went out there and I told her, Michelle, I'm really sorry, I just broke your cup. And she was cool about it. She was like, oh, I left it sitting there like that, didn't I? And I said, well, I'm sorry, and I'll get you another one. And she was pretty cool about it. She told me I didn't have to bother because the cup was old anyways, but I did end up getting her a cup. So that might mean calling someone the same day I snapped at them and saying, I was wrong to speak to you that way. I'm sorry. How can I make it right? It might mean correcting a lie before it spreads. It might mean telling a boss I made a mistake instead of hoping no one notices. I ended up buying a cup for my sister anyways because I just felt like it was a cool cup. And it made me happy to do that. So that's kind of different than like me wanting to atone. I wanted to actually provide her with something, a new one. And it made my life feel happy. I like that. So prompt admission prevents guilt from setting up camp inside me. It's like cleaning up a spill right away instead of letting it stain. And that's what it really, does for you. The big book on page 84, we're told to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. When these crop up, we ask God at once to remove them, discuss them with someone like your sponsor immediately, and make amends quickly if we've harmed anyone. Then we resolutely turn our thoughts to someone we can help. So that's step 10 in action. Notice the trouble, which is the inventory. Ask God to remove it, which is the spiritual surrender. Talk to someone about it because it will denote accountability and recognition. Repair the harm quickly, amends in real time, and shift to service. Get out of self. And this will protect your recovery. If step 4 through 9 freed us from the past, then step 10 protects our future. Because without it, we slip into old patterns without realizing it. Selfish motives, unspoken resentments, quiet dishonesty, these things grow in the dark. Step 10 brings them into the light before they multiply. It also keeps humility alive. When I practice step 10, I admit every day that I'm still human, still learning, and still in need of God's help. That humility is a shield against relapse. So, if you're still wondering how to practice step 10, what does that look like? Well, it looks a lot like a spot check inventory. This is the in-the-moment version. When something happens during the day, someone cuts you off, or you snap at a coworker, you have a fear that's rising, you want to pause and check yourself. Were you being selfish? Were you being dishonest? Were you being resentful? Were you being afraid? If so, follow the process. Ask God to remove it, talk to someone if needed, and make any amends right away. It might take the image of a end of day review. So spot check inventory live, end of day review. When you're laying in bed at night, you can look back over your day and say, did I hurt anybody? Did I fail to follow through on something? Was I patient and kind enough? Or did I let impatience take over? I also note the good, like where was I honest, helpful, and patient? So I can thank God for progress, not just confess my shortcomings. You want to also infuse your life with the positivity in life, because we're moving from a negative mode to a positive mode. And it goes back to what I said before. It's not enough just to stop being devil's advocate and be mute. Be your own advocate. Be an advocate for the light. Be an advocate for your highest self. Be an advocate for God or whatever your spiritual higher power is. Dedicate yourself and commit yourself to the light. If you shoot for the sun, you're definitely going to make it past the moon, right? So, I mean, ongoing openness. Step 10 isn't a secret practice. It means living your life out loud in a way where you can be corrected, where you can be taught, where you can be authentic, is what it essentially is. It's where feedback isn't an attack, but an opportunity to grow. You inherit your authenticity without any need to hide anymore. Stand in the light of who you are. And step 10 provides you with that freedom, but it does have its pitfalls. There are things that you can trap yourself into, like you can become very self-critical. Self-criticism, only focus on what you did wrong, is not going to feed you the positive energy that you need. So procrastination on admissions, because, oh, it's not that bad, or I don't want to do this, that's the willingness going away. Small wrongs pile up fast. And sometimes we skip the help someone else part, staying stuck in self-focus even after noticing our faults. You know, that can affect our relationships. And that's what kind of the focus of step 10 is we practice in step 10 keeping our relationships clear. I'm less likely to carry silent resentments, and others don't have to guess when I've been wronged them. I tell them. It builds trust because people learn I'm on my own mistakes. I am accounting for them, and I work to make them right. You know, it's a very spiritual concept. It's living your spiritual practice. It's your spiritual axiom come to manifest. So for me, step 1 is one of the most active ways I practice conscious contact with God, or my higher power, my higher self, whatever you want to call it, the universe. I'm not just talking to God in the morning and forgetting him all day. I'm bringing him into my course corrections, into my thoughts, into my apologies, into my desire to help others in the moment. I will reflect on the joy I'm experiencing and give gratitude. You know, reflection and self-awareness are the same thing. So here are 5 questions that you can reflect upon. And I think it's very beneficial to do this. So my first question is, do you regularly pause during the day to notice if you're being selfish or dishonest, if you're having any resentments or fear? Are you self-aware to see these things? Can you look at yourself from the observer's perspective? Some people can, some people can't. I had to learn to do it, and I can go into a meditative state and do that, because meditation and prayer are the 2 ways we communicate with our higher powers. Prayer is speaking to God, and meditation is listening. And if you don't believe in God, if you believe in another concept, meditation still works for that. It does. Something higher than ourselves come forward when we dissolve ourselves in our minds. So my second question is, how quickly do we admit when we're wrong? Well, we're supposed to do it instantaneously. As soon as we become self-aware of it, we purge it so that it doesn't lay roots within us. How do I use step 10 to beat myself up or to grow? Some people do that. Oh gosh, I did this wrong, I did this wrong, I did this wrong. Well, if you caught it all and you prayed on it all, you didn't do anything wrong, you did that many right things. So we don't want to use step 10 to beat us. Humility is not about pain. Humility is about avoiding pain through honesty and acceptance. So that's a distinction we need to make there. Fourth question is, how has practicing prompt amends changed your relationships? Well, for me, it changed my relationships in terms of people stopped accusing me of things. Because I started saying, this is what I did, this is what I did, this is why. People stopped assuming the worst about me when I did something. You know? If I moved my sister's purse because it was in my way, she no longer thinks that I was in it. You know, and that to me is trust. So the 5th question is, am I as quick to acknowledge my progress as I am to acknowledge my mistakes? And I think that's important. I think that we are so negatively charged when we come into the program, and we're so scared and fearful of the negative that we focus on it, and then the positive we don't worry about, because why? There's nothing to worry about it. But when you worry about the positive, you're either worrying about losing it, or it's not actual worry, it's actually celebration, and you deserve that. You deserve to reap the benefits of your peace. And step 10 is where you keep that balance. I do daily step 10 exercises, and they're very helpful. You can make a morning commitment like I do. Before my day starts, I set my intention to admit my wrongs promptly. I say something to myself along the lines of, I am one with the power that created me. That power has given me the power to create my own destiny. I am loved. I am loving. I find love everywhere. All is well in my world. And that's my morning thing. And I say it to myself by staring myself in the eye, and I'll say it 3 times. And that helps me. I also will spot check myself if I feel like a disturbance in what I call the force. A dark cloud, the ick, anything negative, I'll look at that and be like, ooh, where'd that come from? So when I'm agitated, I'll be like, am I being selfish? Am I being dishonest? Am I being resentful? Am I being fearful? Because those are the 4 things, the 4 horsemen of relapse: selfishness, dishonesty, resentfulness, and fear. So if I do find myself in one of those situations where I've done something or said something because I didn't feel good or I was fearful, I do the immediate repair, which is my 3rd daily step. I'll choose one wrong today to address within the hour. Hopefully I don't have that many. You really don't once you start living your spiritual axiom. So the 4th one's my nightly review, because every night before I go to bed, I want to sit there and review my day and write down, anything that I feel I did wrong. If I need to make amends and remember that, I'll write that down. So the 5th one is service shift. End the day by helping someone, call someone, text someone, or a small act of kindness, especially when self-focused. Like I said before, I don't want to be devil's advocate. I don't want to be mute. I'd rather be my higher self's advocate, which is a loving and caring entity. I believe I'm a loving and caring person, and so I want to spread that love and that cheer. I want to be the change that I want to see in the world. So from step 9 to step 11, step 9 cleared the past. Step 10 keeps the present clear. Step 11 will deepen our connection to God through teaching us to seek His will through prayer and meditation, which I had mentioned earlier, so that our daily inventory isn't just about removing trouble, but about living more fully in our spirit, in our guidance. And it's an exciting thing. So, again, this is OTG. Step 10 is the gift that keeps the freedom of recovery alive. It's not about perfection. It's about staying current and the progress we make on a daily basis. When you practice it daily, you live light and you live right. No heavy backpack of guilt, no silent resentments, no spiritual debt building in the dark, just the clean, open space to walk with yourself, with God, the people you love, and you can face tomorrow with nothing to hide. So in our next session, we'll step into step 11, learning to seek through prayer and meditation a deeper contact with the God of our understanding, so that every decision and every action flows from a place of peace, because that peace will give you the joy that is the theme of the 12 steps. So until then, keep your side of the street clean, keep your heart open, and keep walking forward in the light. Have a great evening. Be blessed. If you liked what you heard, hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on OTG.